Well, it's 5 o'clock in the East, which means I must be time for me to say welcome to the Glenn Beck program. It's going to be a close race in Massachusetts, and guess who's poised to win it? Progressives. We'll tell you all about that. They're not being shy about stealing the election. I have unbelievable audio in a minute that I'm going to play for you in your living room, but honestly, it should be played in a courtroom. Plus the audio of Danny Glover, who said something dumber than Pat Robertson did on Haiti, and yet nobody in the media is covering this. And speaking of dumb, there's a pattern that I've noticed of progressive attacks on conservatives over the years. Apparently, we're just all a bunch of dumb dummies. Well, 58% of Americans now say they want smaller government that provides fewer services. That's according to the Washington Post ABC News poll. So I guess that means us stupids have the intellectuals surrounded. Come on, idiot. We got work to do. Hello, America. All eyes are on Massachusetts for the big election tomorrow. Who's going to fill Ted Kennedy's Senate seat? And that's a big seat to fill. Oh, the suspense is killing me. Everybody in the media seems shocked that a Republican is on the verge of winning in Massachusetts. It's weird. I mean, a Republican from Massachusetts doesn't really exactly roll off the tongue, you know what I'm saying? But not only are they shocked, the media is horrified at what this might mean. A Republican winning there?
All right, well, we want to talk about a crisis potentially looming here at home. Massachusetts, the president is making a last-minute trip to Boston tomorrow to campaign for Democrat Martha Copley.
Has Democratic-leaning Massachusetts lost its mind?
With just 4 days to go in the race for Teddy Kennedy's Senate seat, a new poll is terrible news for Democrats. The 60th vote in the Senate, maybe health care hanging in the balance. Chuck, I'm interested now. NBC's Deputy Political Director Mark Murray joins us now. This is bad.
Ooh, this is bad. What was it they said earlier? Oh, they're talking about Haiti, and another crisis is looming over here. The Republicans win? That's a crisis? Wow. Have they lost their mind? Well, the media may be surprised, but I'm not. I think the days where people vote for Democrats or Republicans, no matter what, you know, it's an R or a D, I'm just going to pull it. I think we're seeing the end of those days. For so long, we bought into the R's and the D's. You know, we're really at a one-party system at this point. We needed to identify ourselves as one or the other, even though it didn't really make a difference. And that label was much more important than the real label we all should have been wearing, and that is American. Progressives have put their agenda now into hyperdrive, and it is so crystal clear that their final goal is anything but American.
We are 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America.
Yes, indeed. Fundamentally transforming America. Both Republicans and Democratic voters have heard that now and snapped out of their slumber. Because if there's one thing that I think all Americans, pretty much, from all political persuasions, left and right, well, we can unite on is, I don't really want to live in France. I mean, I think even Michael Moore agrees with that one, although Michael Moore, I think, just doesn't want us to be like France because he thinks Cuba would be better. But we all don't want to be like France. It's an insult to the people of Massachusetts to react with shock because they actually put some thought into their vote. Maybe the reason why they are voting the way they are, or seem to be at least considering it, is because they're discovering who the candidates really are. Last week, when a journalist was pushed to the ground while trying to ask her a question, whether or not it was on purpose, who knows, but Coakley's response was telling. She claimed, quote, "I'm not sure what happened. I know something occurred, but I'm not privy to all of the facts." That's weird. Bullying the press. We got that one done, but she wasn't sure. She apparently knew enough facts to say that the Republican stalkers caused it. Wow, that's out of somebody else's playbook. Yeah, it's like, I don't have all of the facts, but the police acted stupidly. Hey, it worked the last time in Massachusetts. Unfortunately for Coakley, one of those pesky photographers caught this photo. Oh, look, here's a guy laying on the ground. Here's one of the operatives, and she was close enough to figure out what happened there. Now, the next one is religious bigotry. Do we have that with Coakley? Oh, sure. Catholics, pay attention to this one.
Freedom, you probably shouldn't work in the emergency room.
You can have religious freedom, but you probably shouldn't work in the emergency room. Oh. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Hey, Catholics, as soon as we get all of the, universal health care, if you got to provide abortions or something and you're a nurse and you don't want to do that, well, go find another job and practice that religious freedom elsewhere. Coakley is yet another politician who also has made a financial discrepancy on some of her paperwork. Boy, they're not used to doing numbers and stuff. On her financial disclosures for the Senate run, she claimed to have no personal assets. Wow. Turns out she was only off by about $200,000. Whoopsie. Then, of course, there was the legal incompetence, which is kind of tricksy for her, seeing that what she does is the Attorney General. That job. Her involvement in the Fells Acre Daycare Center preschool trial. It's a case that garnered national attention. You might remember it. 3 daycare workers were convicted on very weak accusations of child abuse. Even when judges overturned the convictions and the governor's board of pardons and paroles unanimously voted to commute Gerald Amirault, Coakley stuck by her story, despite the lack of evidence. She was trying to look tough on crime. Yeah. Tough on crime. You know what? If you're an attorney general and you're tough on crime, you know who would support you? Police, don't you think? Here she is, the attorney general, the head law enforcement figure in the state. And not only does she fail to get the support of the State Police Association of Massachusetts and several police keyword unions, she fails to get the support of Cambridge Police Patrol Officers Union. That's weird, because maybe they recognize some of that same language. I don't know who's at fault here. I don't have the facts, but I know the police acted stupidly. And by the way, the Cambridge Police Union, her husband, retired Cambridge police officer. No word yet on whether her husband is going to vote for her tomorrow or not. It's amazing the race is even close, considering how bad of a candidate she appears to be. The PPP, Public Policy Polling, has her trailing Scott Brown now by 51 to 46. That's close. Suffolk has it at 50 to 46. It's all within the margin of error. But that's bad news, because with progressives, their dream of mandated health care, possibly online, oh, you can imagine how ugly this thing will get if, oh God, help us all, if it's too close to call. You see, they have friends in high places. They have friends in low places, but they've got enough. They can, oh, you just wait. I don't want to see some idiot looking at a hanging Chad. Do you remember this guy? Yeah, trying to figure out the intent of the voter. I remember this very vividly. I think this is the first time that, if you're like me, you realized, wow, wait a minute, our voting system has serious problems? You didn't even know until Florida. I lived in Tampa, Florida during the recount in 2000. I was in favor of recounting the whole state. If you're going to recount it, do the whole state. But the Democrats thought that by cherry-picking certain areas, by manipulating the system, they'd have a better chance of winning. That, of course, backfired. And by all accounts, if the Democrats would have recounted the entire state, Gore would have pulled it out. But the loss was their fault. They were so incompetent, they didn't even know how to cheat. But don't worry, they've gotten good at it now. But if you even mention the 2000 election to somebody who's on the left, they'll still say George Bush stole the election. Or let's try this one. Do you know who this woman is? Do you remember this face? Most likely you do. She's a Republican Secretary of State, Katherine Harris. She certified the presidential theft. She committed a crime against the American democracy. She was on SNL, and even Jon Stewart parodied Harris. Watch this.
Katherine Harris made it official by signing the certification papers. Then she passed the papers on to a second commissioner. Finally, they got the ultimate seal of approval signature from Lobster Boy.
Okay. So she was on SNL all the time. They ridiculed her. Remember, she had all that makeup and lipstick